doing this. Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Downtime with Downstar, episode 71. We are live from HDAY, and today we're sitting down with Zoe from Nyce1's.
Yo, 71? Is that
71, right? Bro. We cooking, dog.
Yo, man, you've been doing this for a minute, and you're making it slice up pretty nice, man.
You know, I started this late September, I think. Something like that. So last summer, I got the idea to do the podcast.
Right.
And I just didn't want to jump in without doing any practice runs. So I did practice runs with the homies and things like that when we went out to IBOC and stuff. And it was in IBOC, Ohio, where we decided, like, yo, let's do this first episode. And it was me and Big Mike.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, dude. And if I listen back to that one now, it's just, you can just see, like, where things shifted, where things changed. And it's been a journey, bro.
Yo, I love Big Mike, man. I love listening to his words and, like, you know, his experience in regards to just the scene. You know what I mean? So I thought he was a really good pick for you to go with.
Oh, definitely, dude. Me and Big Mike's been homies for years, bro. I think I met him probably in, like, 2010. And then, you know, we created a relationship because we're in the same community. And then it just turned into a real friendship, you know? So whenever I have some project that I'm working on, he's always somebody that I reach out to be, like, if not the first, one of the first ones to even hear the idea.
Yeah.
So if you remember when we did Huffy Talk back in the day, he was number one.
Yep.
And then he was number one when we did the podcast, because we kind of, like, we vibe on that level.
Yeah.
You know, some of these ideas I have are kind of crazy. And if I'm just going to tell this to, like, a regular person, no disrespect to anybody else, it's just like, if you don't have that kind of vision, you can't paint the picture.
Yo, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I feel like, you know, I've gone to his lives a couple times, and he always challenges, like, somebody's consciousness, and I feel like that's so specific to, you know, the things that don't happen in drag racing right now. You know what I mean? And I think every motorsport kind of goes through their evolution of it, but Big Mike, from a car scene perspective, like, really made sure that his thought process was known to the masses, regardless of how crazy it sounded. You know, I know that he didn't think it originally that, you know, his Prelude build could really take over SEMA the way that it did.
Yeah.
And that's a huge win for anybody who's ever put time into a Honda, because he, from what I understand, he wasn't so much about the fact that it was a Honda, it was just a platform.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just breaking that mindset in a scene where, you know what I mean, if you have a BMW, you're a certain type, or if you have a Honda, you're a certain type, or whatever else, you know what I mean? If you're a drag racer, you have to, you know what I mean? So it's dope to watch a dude like that kind of break down stuff like that. It inspired me too, you know, in the same way.
That's awesome, man. And let's just jump in it. What would you like to see of the drag community that you would see in kind of like the car show stuff, where Big Mike would bring that kind of that presence to it, you know, that conscious thinking about things like, hey, why are you guys doing this? I'm not asking you, like, why you're, like, why do you like that?
Right.
I'm asking you, why do you like that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's almost like, what's your end goal? What are you trying to do with this? Where's this sport going to take you? Everyone answers, you know, especially in drag racing, that it's fun. And I think everyone answered the same way when it came to D1 or anything else. You know what I mean? F1, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Originally, the drivers wanted to have fun, right? So that's kind of a basic answer to me. But I always think that motorsports around drag racing has evolved more than drag racing. And it's always been kind of confusing to me, because I feel like there's a real specific fan base behind it. And it does take a certain character of person to get behind and be a part of a team, and to build, you know, some of these pro cars that are budgets out of this world, and you really have to love it to keep the money into it like that. So I feel like there's a lot of similarities, but in drag racing particularly, I always compare it to the Wild Wild West. Like, there's just no rules. People are really just making it up as they go along. Whatever they feel like is a good feeling at the moment ends up on the internet, and then the next thing you know, someone's feelings are either hurt, or there's this or there's that, and you just don't see that in any other, like, motorsport arena.
Yeah, I guess you're right, in the sense as the leaders of that community really don't go to those kind of levels, you know. And from the outside looking in, when I see stuff happen, I just think that it's kind of a shame, because it harms the whole entire sport. Like when we were talking earlier, say if you're an outside entity and somebody enlightens you about drag racing or even car show stuff, you know, I'll take it from my side, because I'm very familiar with that side of things, you know, car shows and all that. So if we try to bring on some big sponsors like we had back in the day, so it's possible,
Right.
because we had them back in the day.
Yep.
We try to bring them on, and they do their research. It's going to take them all of 2 minutes to pull out and say, nah, this isn't something that we want representing our brand, our product. And we're stuck with a lot of companies that are not corporate.
Right.
And they're just a bunch of people trying to figure out what's going on. Like myself, I don't know how to run a business. I'm just running a business, you know?
Right. There's no rule book to it, so
Yeah.
you're figuring it out as you go along. You know what I mean? I think what's weird about it is that in every other like arena of motorsports, like someone's figured out how the driver or the race program benefits the business of a business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like helps impact it in some way, shape, or form, where they continue to come back. And it's not just the guys who are putting parts on the car. Yeah, they're sponsors like anybody else, but then you kind of get those major sponsors. And I know that back in the day, that was something that was happening with drag racing, and then it just kind of fizzled out as sponsors went to other arenas. But it was weird to see the fact that even though it has a fan base, that these major sponsors have never looked back at drag racing. And I feel like it's because, you know, where it is today, they don't have confidence in the way that their brand would be represented. And I feel like a lot of guys in drag racing today, they love drag racing, and that's dope, and that's number one.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you have to think about the reason why someone even sponsors your car, regardless of the sponsor. They want it because they want a return. Like,
Yeah.
they appreciate the fact that you have so many eyes on them, and that you can put eyes on their brand organically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, as I sat in the sport and did more with Nyce1's and did more with just videography and cinematography and stuff like that, we thought that there was a real void in regards to it. You know, like, you never see LeBron James go down to like a basketball court on the street and say, hey, everybody come here and do this right now, or come hang out with me and I'll show you how to shoot some hoops. Now there's a level to it, and
Yeah.
I feel like in drag racing, there is a level that we should hold a lot of these drivers to, and a lot of these drivers want to be held to it as well, and they want that, but they want the sport to support it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The expectation of it to be something where, you know, it's not just one or two guys that are doing it, it's everybody looking to try and do something like that to elevate it. And it just doesn't happen at a fast enough pace in drag racing, in my opinion.
Do you remember, did you ever see the show The Wire?
Yeah.
So you remember in The Wire when I think it was E40 was even
Yep.
in The Wire. It was called like the Coalition or something like that.
Right.
So they had all the drug dealers from all the surrounding cities or whatever, and everybody gets together, and you say, yo, this is how we're going to conduct ourselves, and everybody goes and everybody makes money. And I think that would be something that's beneficial for the race community from like I said, from the outside looking in, is if there are these guys, it's obvious who the top guys are in the sport.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
this is only one of kind of very few sports or competitive areas where you can actually see who's in front.
Yeah.
Because even on my side of things, you can't see who's the head of the game. You know, you can't see who has the best car. He has fucking 57 points. Oh, that dude just got 60 last. It's all opinion based.
Well, now it's followers, right?
Exactly.
It's like, how many followers do you have? That means that your car might be your best built. You know.
I mean, to the new generation.
To the new generation, that's what it is. You know what I mean?
But it would be as simple as that if the guys in each class, the top 5 guys, if they all got together and just said, yo, this is how we're gonna do it. This is what we've been doing in the past.
Right.
It hasn't worked in everybody's benefit. Maybe if we all do this in the same benefit, if we can move forward.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
and coming off of that, that's always been the change that you want to see.
Yeah, I think that's the bigger part of it. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people talk about it and then they don't do anything about it, and then they still like partake in it and just accept it for what it is. You know, when I was working with Julian, just on ideas, different ways that we could do more with racing through Nyce1's, we were thinking about opportunities that we could offer racers, because we've been in it for so long. You know what I mean? And we came up with Nyce Motorsports Management, which is just a management company for racers.
Nice.
It's nothing like that's you know what I mean, overly structured, because we're beginning it. But the things that we want to do is we want to work with a racer to make sure that, you know, their image is clean on social media, so that they are prepped for a sponsorship. Help them understand what's going to help their race program based on their goals. You know, they're just doing social media because it's a popular thing to do, but to a company, those analytics mean the possibility of more sales, and you have to be able to explain that to somebody. And if you put all that on a racer to do, don't expect it to always come through the way that it would in another sport, because there is a middleman that's helping them in every sport. There's somebody that's having a conversation and say, you know what, I'll go back to LeBron James. Listen, LeBron James, I'm going to get you this deal with Reebok. You think it's LeBron James that's putting together that presentation?
Yeah.
Or setting up that meeting or having any of those conversations?
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's different because it's basketball versus racing, but at the end of the day, they're both athletes. You know what I mean? And an athlete should have the ability to focus on what they do best, which, you know, in my driver's realm of thought, it's really driving. You know what I mean? I don't want him to have to worry about putting together a presentation. He should just know what he needs, and then we figure out ways to have conversations around us getting what we need and the company getting what they need, and then everybody's happy. You know what I mean? And when you have those conversations, it's a lot easier than most people would think, because you're coming with something that the other person wants.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're just tossing it up there and being like, hey, I'm going to throw my sticker on your car, and then I don't know how many people are going to see the sticker, but there's a sticker on your car. Like, that's that shit doesn't work anymore, to be honest with you. That stuff is out the window. That's dated, and people keep doing it, but it only happens in drag racing. Like, people think that they can just keep throwing stickers on cars and that's going to do all the advertising for you, and it's like, when that did advertising, billboards were popular. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's just not like that anymore.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right, and the idea that you have about helping out a racer and helping build them up, and there's a benefit in it for you, so that means that you're gonna try your hardest, because the bigger that the racer gets,
right,
the more that you're gonna get. And it's not about finances, but at the end of the day, we're all trying. We wouldn't be out here racing if you break a fucking transmission and you got to fork out $10,000 out of your bank.
Absolutely.
You know, you all got to work together. But if you have both the same goal in mind, that could be something that changes it right there. When they see that, when the talk and the walk went together.
Yeah. And
next season could be a totally different story.
You know what's funny about it is that whenever you talk to a racer, for example, like we're working with Joe Pinella and Alpha K, and, you know, whenever I have a conversation with Joe about what it is he wants, you know, out of the sport right now, it's he wants to be able to race without digging in his pocket. And that's a really simple ask.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not give me a salary. It's not put me on every platform. It's not put me all over the place. It's just let me do this without it killing my pocket every time I go to do it. That just let me do it without having to, you know, jeopardize something else to make it happen. And because it's such a simple ask, think about having that conversation with a company when you have somebody who's really just into it for the love of the sport. And when I saw that in him, and Julie and I talked about it, we knew that guy was the right guy for us to kind of launch this with. And we're proud of the way that he's been performing in the end of 2018 and 2019. And we're really impressed with the character that he carries, like both on the track and off the track. You know what I mean? Which is probably a big reason why I think Four Pistons supports him the way that they do, and other sponsors have been on board. But I think that that's really just the beginning for him.
Yeah. It's I mean, it's just even commendable for you to even have this program open.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to.
No.
You have a lot of stuff that's going on, but you see an opportunity.
Well, I yes and no. You know what I mean? And I say yes and no for a couple reasons. One is, you know, I have to remember, Julian Bowen.
Hey.
Yo, Julian Bowen. Yo, ladies and
Jay.
gentlemen, Julian Bowen just walked in on the podcast. My guy.
Julian,
come here, Julian.
jump in real quick,
Come here,
bro.
Julian, bro. We're doing
Guys,
a podcast, bro.
while Julian comes over here, looking all handsome and shit.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about my guy.
It's the fucking Dark Knight. Right
Ever since I've met him, he's been a stand-up dude. Always showed respect. Quiet, but the work showed. You know, the hustle showed.
Yo, you know what's crazy? And I always put this out there because, you know, Julian's so quiet and he won't say nothing to you. You know what I mean? He won't tell you this, but you can ask anybody out there holding a camera. I don't care who they are. The reason that they hold a camera is because he held one on the street first.
Ooh.
Before anybody else held a camera to watch racing on the street, especially in import, it doesn't... Cali, New York, Michigan, Seattle, whatever, he did it first.
Yeah.
Before YouTube, he had to figure out a way to upload it to forums, bro. You understand what I'm telling
shit.
you? Like forums where it was a link that you had to go to, and then you had to view it through a link. Like you couldn't even press play on Honda Tech.
So since we're getting back to the roots of it, can we talk about the history of Nyce1's and where you came in on it?
Yo, you know what's crazy? And I think it's weird for me to be working with Nyce1's right now the way that I am, and for Jay and I to be splitting it the way that we are. But before I ever held a camera, I was watching Nyce1's and hoping to be on Nyce1's.
Really?
Absolutely. I would watch it religiously. I would watch it on CTV Tech. I would watch it on Honda Tech. I was watching it before YouTube. When like they would come for like a dyno day or something, I remember how it felt to go want to get my car all set. And I remember talking to Julian before I ever held the camera about just getting a video. And then I ended up doing something in music for a long time. And then, you know, once I stepped out of the independent film world and music and I was taking a break, I figured, you know what, let me just go hang out around some garages. And then next thing you know, I'm running into this guy at World Cup and we're talking about the future. And then next thing you know, the future's here.
And when was this? What year was this?
Yo, Jay, what year was that? 2014 or 15?
Not even 15. I had to be like 13, probably.
Yo, 2013.
Damn.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then we started like really, really grinding. And you know what's crazy is that Jay has this religious ability to be consistent. You know what I mean? Like it could be 1 million views, no views.
Yeah.
You'll find him on the street or on the track.
Yeah.
Period. Like it could be a good day or a bad day. You'll find him on the street or on the track. It could be legal or illegal. You'll find him on the street
Doing
or on
it.
the track. I'm
Yeah.
dead serious. Like, yo, he used to run around with a hatchback, right? He used to run around with a hatchback that was red with yellow wheels. They call it the Ronald McDonald car. And
Yeah.
he'd have somebody tag in, and he would be taking everybody out in Queens. But then he decided that he wanted to hold the camera instead and film it so he could put it up and never put the camera down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's stuff like that inspires somebody to want to take it to the next level. So when Jay and I connected and started really talking about what Nyce1's could be and just the history of it, like we started to just look into how we could raise the bar.
Yeah.
We didn't want to be relatable to anybody else that was shooting video today. We wanted to do it in a different way. We wanted to set the tone different. We wanted to make sure that when you saw a Nyce1's video, you didn't need the logo to identify it as a Nyce1's video.
Mm-hmm.
Like you needed to see it by the signature that it was shot at. And it took us a few years to kind of put the formula together to get people to really recognize it that way. But here we are now, and we're seeing it happen more and more. And we're noticing that like the community is responding to it. Like they don't even call our stuff videos anymore. They call it movies.
Yeah.
And they correct us when we call it videos. They're correcting us. So it's like to be able to have that impact on the community and still retain a lot of that love, you know, is a testament to everything that he did out on the street those nights when I was just watching him and he was actually doing it.
Yeah. So it's his grind, and you're wanting to be part of it, and both of that together, it created something pretty cool, man.
Yeah, it's different, man. It turned into something different. And you know, as we thought about just keeping and creating content and doing more documentary stuff, then we started thinking about how we could just help racers stay in it, right? You said that we were doing something really nice for the racer.
Yeah.
And I said yes and no. And the reason I said that is because if we're not doing something nice for the racer will go extinct. These events will disappear. People won't have the opportunity to do it, and we won't be recording them.
Yeah.
Which means if they go, we go. So it's in everyone's best interest that we make sure that they're as successful as possible and that they get the opportunity to race with as little money out of their pocket as possible.
Yeah, that's one thing that's always confused me, is that people don't understand longevity. And like, yo, if nobody's building Hondas anymore, we all don't have shit.
Yeah, exactly. It's gone.
We don't have nothing.
Yeah.
If nobody's paying for our shit, whether it's bolts or watching race videos, coming to the track, everybody's gone.
Yeah, we have to support it. Like, some people feel like that's optional, but I'm telling you, like, as big as people feel like this industry is, it is a sliver compared to other industries. So as a sliver, we need to really continue to support it and help it to grow. Otherwise, when it's gone, we're all going to be sitting around thinking about how that happened.
So you were bringing to Nyce1's, you were bringing a different idea to it, and of that birthed the projects. Let's talk about that.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up because
hey, bro, that's my job.
I see that's your job. Yo, Frank is on his job. Julian, you heard Frank is on his job today?
I'm working right now. I'm clocked in right now.
Yo, Joe fucking Rogan. So
projects.
When I was actually out here kind of just working on doing separate videos, I told you I had come from like taking a break in music, and what I did in music was make mini documentaries. So I knew a lot of that formula would work in racing because they're all stories and they're all universal, you know what I mean? And I was talking to Jay about how could we actually make it so that we tell the story in racing but make it relatable to what the fan base needs to see. And what is it that they're not seeing right now? You know what I mean? We know everybody sees the pass. Great. Everybody puts up the pass. And sometimes you do an interview about it and sometimes you don't. Well, what if we just took the opportunity to film what happened before, middle, after, like really focus on some life choices around racing and not make it so much the focus on the past, but make it the focus on the person. And then we were thinking about what, no matter what an enthusiast has going on, what is the thing that's kind of constant with an enthusiast? And it's a project. And so we thought, great idea to put together something called the projects where it sounds like we're focusing on the car, but we're really focusing on the person.
Yeah, and I had the pleasure of being on an episode, and that's one of the last times that we had a deep conversation, man, which was awesome. So I'm super glad that we could sit down and do this again. But that was 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you're right. We were sitting down doing the project. It was at a HDAY, as a matter of fact. We were doing it at an HDAY, and we had just connected. And when we did, like, you had brought me back to the Airbnb. We had chilled out for a while, me, you, and the crew, and Vasily was around, so I got the opportunity to catch up with him. Matter of fact, because of that introduction, I actually flew out to Arkansas.
That's right.
And shot another episode with Vasily while he was getting covered in Super Street. You know what I mean? And when we think about the projects, we try to think about a couple different things. It's not just the car and not just the person, it's the situation. So, selecting you as, you're a young entrepreneur in the sport that's also very much an enthusiast who's well known that, majority of people don't know the story behind some of that. So we had the opportunity and the pleasure to kind of shed some light on that. I think with Vasily, one of the things that attracted us the most to his episode is that, he had the opportunity to be involved in Super Street and he had a super clean build. How many people know what happens when you go on a photo shoot for Super Street? Not many.
Yeah.
But everybody wants to know. You know what I mean? So we had the opportunity to go through that with him for a couple days in Arkansas. It's just we're trying to do different situations across the board. For example, like we just released one for season 2 with Joe Pinella and Alpha K team, and it really did focus on what teamwork you need to have in place in order to run a successful race program. Not just have a group of friends at the track helping you bang things out and try to throw things together or half-ass shit. It's really what does it take to have a successful race program and who are the players that are involved. And so I had the opportunity to sit down with my boy Ryan, with my boy Spoon, Joe, Jerry, just a bunch of great dudes who all see one goal in getting this car down the track and helping Joe, really hit those times that he's been looking to hit and really just grow the sport organically. They're not looking for nothing. They just want to be here to see all of their hard work culminate into a number. And when you think about that, if you don't understand the passion behind racing, just getting that, like they're not out here getting a ton of money for what they do. They sacrifice, they take time off, and they're all doing that to get a number to be remembered for legacy. And I think a lot of people don't take that into consideration when they're just sitting in the stands and watching them perform.
Now that's crazy that you say that. I was thinking that when you were breaking it down, that it from my perspective, it looks like the driver is the number one.
Yeah.
But the way that you break it down is there's still a team behind it. And if these team members didn't do their job, that driver wouldn't be number one. And what do you think about maybe shedding a little more light on that?
Yo, that's so crazy because when I was putting this stuff together, I was talking to Joe about when I was going to release it, and I kept telling him Pacino, 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 and he was like, what the hell are you talking about with this Pacino? So the part that is weird that you asked that. I know you haven't seen the whole thing, but it's weird that you ask. So I put this part in it from Any Given Sunday, and it talks about being the captain of a team. You know what I mean? And you're the quarterback. It says, you're the goddamn quarterback. And when you think about a quarterback in football, like if they don't have a receiver, if they don't have blockers, if they don't have a running back to toss the ball to, they're not winning that game all by their freaking selves. That's not happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was so relatable that I had to put it in at a crucial time in the video when he was pulling up to the line and he was just getting ready to go, and you saw like Ryan and Spoon, his whole crew standing next to him on the line. And when he went down the track, nobody took their eyes off of him. No matter what else was going on in the track, they were all in that car with him. And that's what it feels like to be a quarterback.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that when drivers get that they're quarterbacks as opposed to just a part of the team that's just doing a role, I think you're going to see better drivers.
That's a really dope way to look at it, man, because that makes you unstoppable, dude. I really think that people listening right now, they put more limitations on themselves that aren't really there. There's no reason why a race team, somebody that's been in for a few years, even a rookie, can't be number one. There's no reason.
It doesn't even make sense to see limitations like that. And I think, I have a different view on it, because, the first thing I put on YouTube went on the network. So it wasn't like I had the experience of going on YouTube and figuring it out before I got on the Nyce1's. So I know it's at the other end of the rainbow. I believe in it. You know what I mean? So no one can take that away from me. So I don't mind working 24, 48 hours just because I know that vision's there. It just takes time to get to. And I'm patient. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I learned a lot of the patience from Jay because, to be honest with you, like, that man's patience is ridiculous.
He seems like it.
Yo, it's
I want to
almost
see
like,
him flip out one day.
Nah, yo,
I want to see it.
Yo, I've seen him flip out.
No.
Yo, I've seen him flip out. Yo, let me tell you how Jay flips out.
Jay flips out like this.
Yo, let me tell you how Jay flips out.
Dog,
Nah.
right
Stay
now.
over there, bro. Stay over there, bro. We making history right now. Stay over there. Don't come over here interrupting this shit.
Guys, if you know Jay, then you're
he's
gonna
in
be
here
so
right now waving his
surprised.
hand. Yo. So Jay will approach some stuff, right? And he'll be looking like mad calm. You know what I'm saying? Like, his eyes will be like fluttering. He'll be like, okay. And then when he starts talking like slowly, that's because the man's about to lose his shit. Like, when he starts talking mad slow,
It's breaking down.
yeah, because like if he's loud and he's talking to you, everything's good because he wants confirmation, clarification. When he starts talking low, he gets it already, but he's trying to like not spaz out. And then when he spazzes out, it's almost like he gets mad stiff. He's like, "Don't start talking to me!"
Oh,
and I'm like,
shit.
yo, Julian Bowen. Julian fucking... I've seen Julian snap off and call an Uber faster than anybody else I've seen in my life, bro. Yo, he don't tolerate none of that extra shit. I don't care how friendly he is at the track, bro. My man, when he snaps off, he's done. It's over. He cuts it off and he moves. And he's making a move immediately at the end of his decision.
That's dope.
No ifs, no ifs. Like, it's like, I can't do this shit anymore, and we're calling an Uber. Uber's here, we're leaving. Yo, but we left the... We're going to come back for it. We're going now. All right.
It'd be like that sometimes.
Yo, it'd be like that sometimes. So next time someone sees him at the track and he looks all mellow, don't believe that shit.
It's possible. There's a
Don't believe it.
possibility.
Yeah, nah, he can spaz out. That boy can spaz out.
But speaking of possibilities, dude, I think... I don't even remember... Do you ever remember following skateboarding?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
so back in the day, like a 720 or what was it, 9 whatever, I don't fucking know, I don't know the math, right?
Yo, I know the
but Tony Hawk
360, but that was about it.
360, 540, 720,
Yeah,
whatever the next one is, that 720, that was the most rotation that somebody's done. So Tony Hawk was going for a 1080, right? Nobody's ever done that shit before, and
right.
he did it at an X Games. And guys, if you're listening and if it's a 730 or something, I don't give a fuck, bro. You get the story, right? So he's doing mad spins in the air. He finally lands it, right? Now, if you look at skateboarding at this moment, I guarantee that trick isn't even something special.
No, and that's just evolution.
So
because there's always someone who doesn't think you can do something until you actually do it.
And this could be something.
I don't see any reason why half the things that we work on won't work outside of us just really putting in the detail and the time to figure it out. Like, that's really what it comes down to. The only limitation is ourselves. And if we believe what everyone else is telling us, then we're not strong enough to do it anyway.
Yeah, and I totally agree with the limitation is yourself and only yourself, because I've dealt with that too with myself, and just knowing that I can overcome things if I change the way that I handle situations,
right?
How I react to things, maybe put my pride and ego to the side. Maybe that'll help me advance even quicker. You know what I mean?
I think everyone says that, and I think that is a valiant thing, and it's truly easier said than done, because the one thing that I've come to learn about jumping into Nyce1's and to just help out is when you have the ability to have access to so many people, ego and pride really do become a problem. Like, it's just that's a part of it, and then you need to decide how you are as a person and how well or not well you deal with that, and then make decisions on your own to make sure that it's addressed accordingly. Like, going back to Nyce, you know what I mean, motorsports management. When you think about that, we take that out of the racer's hands. Like, if we know that the minute you get 30,000, if I know Joe gets 100,000 followers, he's gonna spaz out, buy a Lambo, and fly to Tahiti.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like, Joe, before this happens, we need to talk about how you're not gonna act. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And just give him that forewarning, because a lot of times when stuff like this goes wrong with people, it's because no one had a conversation with them to begin with. Like, no one ever sat them down and was like, yo, we need you to think about that. And I think more than anything with Nyce1's, one of the things that I've come to learn is how powerful communication is. Like, you need to be able to directly tell somebody something so that it's in their mind, because there's a 50% chance they heard it and a 50% chance they didn't. Those are pretty good odds when you think about the way the world is right now. You know what I mean? So taking the opportunity to really communicate clearly is something that I think Nyce Motorsports Management is a plus for a lot of racers. It just gives you insight and choices to make.
Now, why do you feel that that's so hard for people to do?
Just lack of experience with it, to be honest. It's more like, a lot of people, outside of social media, how else would they get the attention of 96,000 people? Like, imagine there was no social media, and instead it was like, I'm going to go to a podium, and then I'm going to turn on a flashlight, and 96,000 people show up. What are you going to say? It's a different experience, right?
Yeah.
So it's almost like, think about it in reverse, that it's like, yo, I have this app that I use, and I have 96,000 people that tune in, and some of them are happy, some of them are not, some of them want more, some of them want less, some of them think I'm annoying, some of them think I'm dope. So all these things are running through your mind, and then the next thing you know, you're throwing out a whole bunch of things, just testing scenarios, when if you just sat down and spoke to somebody who had experience with it, they could tell you which way would work for you and which way might not, and then let you make the decision. But it's an informed decision.
But deeper than knowing when you should or when you shouldn't, or what you should say or what you shouldn't, what do you think the deeper feeling is, like why people will choose to use that power for evil?
Oh, people want to be accepted. You know what I mean? Like, that's just like anything else. And it's not even, people see that evil or that good or bad thing. I've read a couple books, and the theory about good or bad, in my opinion, is very different. People who you consider bad don't consider themselves bad. They consider themselves fighting for a cause. So it's almost like if the people who were quote unquote bad considered themselves quote unquote bad, I'm sure that they would make some choices to not be bad. You know what I mean? But they just don't see it the same way you do, and we're calling what's good and what's bad two different things. So I feel like, it's consciousness and understanding how things make other people feel, and kind of just taking that in consideration, because we just don't have a lot of considerate people. Not just in like society, but in this community, in the race community. There are some people who go way out of their way to support each other. Like, I've never seen a company like Four Piston support their drivers the way that Four Piston does.
Yeah.
They're considerate people. Not all companies are going to do that. Downstar does a lot with the people that they support and they sponsor. I've seen you give people mad love and almost build their Instagrams for them through a sponsorship.
Yeah.
Because you thought the build was worth it and you're an enthusiast yourself. So, you know, I just feel like there's levels to it that people don't always see and that people aren't always interested in looking at.
You know, I'm glad you said that about helping people build their platform, because I can definitely agree on that. And a lot of people that I've put time into, it was wasted time, but I had to figure out how to not let me affect somebody else that I could help out in the future. And a lot of that had to do with pride and ego.
Right.
You know, because if one person does something to you, you're never going to do something for somebody else again.
Yeah.
So you're letting that person change who you are in your core as a human.
Yeah, they change your dynamic, and that's the thing that you don't want to give anybody the power to begin to change your dynamic. You know, what you want to be able to do is just be able to brush some of that stuff off. Again, when you put like that wall in between you and the things that aren't for the best of your career in a sport, you know, that helps the odds. Again, when you go back to the company, the Nyce Motorsports Management Company, when you go back to that wall in between could save somebody's career and get them to the next level or help to grow the sport in a different way, you know? Mm-hmm. And I think that if you're thinking about that and you're moving towards that and we start to get on that ball one by one, you're going to see racers that begin to level up on their own, even without representation. Just say, you know what? I see him winning at this.
Exactly.
I really want to start winning at this. I'm going to follow some examples. The same way negativity spreads, positivity can spread as well. You know what I mean? It just takes a few people to be consistent about it and show like the fruits of it, you know?
Now, have you reached out to any of the quote unquote popular racers and told them what you can bring and where maybe their I don't want to say flaws, but it is what it is, where their flaws lie,
right?
And where you can help them out with.
You know, I think the main thing for us is, you know, we've thought about a bunch of different racers, whether they be, you know, street racers or someone that's, you know, hitting the track heavy now. You know, we've thought about a few different people, but you know, we really wanted to, you know, quietly open up the company and then try something with one particular person, and we thought Joe was perfect for it because he's just really passionate about racing. Like, I don't even want to put it this way, but the kid's untainted.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's newer in it, and he's got a genuine love for racing that hasn't been fucked up yet.
That's good.
So for me, it was like, you know, this guy's got a good heart. He's a good person. He's built the cleanest car in all motor, period. You know what I mean? And just the character of people around him that I've known for years spoke volume to me, and I vouched for him with Jay, and we both agreed on it and kind of moved forward. So all of our attention right now is on Joe. Part of the reason why, you know, his projects just dropped before HDAY. That was the last time he was at HDAY. Now we're showing him as he goes into his, you know, weekend at HDAY, and we'll have more content after that. Like, we're supporting him for this year to make sure that people kind of get familiar with him and understand what his race program is about, and really understand like why he's like a model in the all motor class. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because that's what he's looking to be. It's not just jump in and bust the time. Like, he really wants to help the class grow, and I think he wants to do it by example without doing a lot of talking.
Okay, everybody, we're going to take a quick break for our sponsors, and we'll be back in 1 minute. Yo, what's up, fool? Make sure you check out Downstar for all of your dress-up needs. Get it poppin' over here. We have all the kits for the K-Series, the B-Series, the transmission, the mounts, the engine, the Toro, baby. We have the hardware for the seats, for the stereo. We got it for the speakers. We got it for the lug nuts. We got it for the air valves. We got it for everything, dog. So you make sure you hit us up at downstarinc.com, or you call us up, fool. You can even text us, lame, 818-937-3472. Just shoot us a text and tell us what's up, dog. I need some fucking balls in this bitch. Hit us up, downstarinc.com. Hey, and if you got an Instagram, slide in our fucking DM at Downstar. Wait, hit up the homie, Frank_Downstar. He's the one that takes care of all the DMs. Hit that level up and shoot him a message, and he'll get you all taken care of real nicely. What's dope about that too is that you don't have to ask anybody permission.
No.
That's one thing that I love about not only my platform, but my ability to like, as being a business owner, is I can either put this money back into this business, or I could put it into this fucking business, or put it into this business, or into the podcast, or like I said, I was starting the skate brand.
Right.
And that's building on basically happiness. What I enjoyed as a child or growing up, I always try to focus on what makes me happy.
Right.
What's made me happy from when I was a child till now, music, skateboarding, cars, hustling, making money or whatever,
Yep.
and now I have the possibilities. I've put myself in a situation so I can make all of those happiness come true.
Right.
So what you're giving to the racers that are going to be on your platform is, this happiness that you're trying to achieve. We can all achieve that together. Right. You just need to know that. You just need to trust me that this is the lane.
Right. And it's in a learning experience too. You know what I mean? Like, there are things that drivers are going to teach us, but there are also experiences that, Jay is going to be able to tell you about because he's been in it for 20 years. You know what I mean? Like, that type of stuff is invaluable. And at the same time, it's without these drivers existing, we don't exist. So we want to make sure that the culture is alive and well. One of the things we changed this year with Nyce1's is our tagline, shift the culture.
Nice.
And we say that because we really want to shift the culture from where it was to where it needs to be. And I know that these are small steps when you think about, managing, pro drivers and teams to help them get sponsorships so they could get to a point where they're not spending money. But it's also like we have aspirations on, making a platform that's just Nyce1's TV, where it's just almost like a channel where you can watch any content in regards to racing from anybody, and you can just watch it in one place, and it still gives each of the people who make the content their clicks, their ownership, their viewership, like everything across the board. We just want to be the hub to kind of help everyone get some attention on the content that they're putting out.
So you would say like your own YouTube?
No, it's bigger than that. I would say that it's more like our own channel.
So how are you determining how much each person is going to get paid for their content?
Well,
do you break it down in views, or how would that work?
It all depends on how they make money off their content now. So let's take an example of like Saucepot, right? So if Saucepot was out there and he was saying, you know what, I make X amount of dollars on my YouTube channel, okay, all the views are still going to go to your YouTube channel. That's all your money. You should definitely keep that.
But how would that happen if it's being uploaded on your platform?
Because it's never leaving their YouTube channel.
Oh,
it
shit.
all still stays on their YouTube channel.
Why wouldn't they just do it double dip?
It is. That's the goal, to give everybody an opportunity to not just make the money that they're currently making.
I thought it was just going to be on your platform.
Give them an opportunity to make money on top of that. You know what I mean? And the real work behind the channel is you take the opportunity to do what we would do for racers in a sense. If we wanted to get a new sponsor on the network and they really liked, 1320's content, we would give Kyle a call and be like, Kyle, they really want to put some advertising in front of your content. We're going to put together the presentation. We're going to do a split with you. Here's a split on top of it. Are you in agreement to this, yes or no? And then they sign off on it. We do the presentation. We lock down the deal. We send them their money up front. We wait for the money on the back end.
Wow.
So it's like it's giving everybody the opportunity but not taking anything off of their channel. And it's giving the viewer an opportunity to find one place to watch all the content that they would want to and save themselves time from scrolling and looking here and doing this, that, and the third. And then it gives our entire area, our entire community here, an opportunity to be looked at differently from more major sponsors, because collectively our views together look like a whole lot more money to a Monster or a Red Bull or a Pepsi than they do separately.
Whether it's just being one specific channel on YouTube,
right,
versus being 20, 30 channels,
right,
and this network, your network,
right.
Now you can go get whatever type of deals you want to work with, and that's the backing.
Exactly. And another piece of it, think about it like this. So think of a channel that you watch on TV. Anyone. Name one.
Lifetime.
All right, so think about Lifetime. So you watch Lifetime, right?
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of different content on Lifetime. That's weird.
I don't watch Lifetime.
Yes,
no. All right, I watch Lifetime.
All right, you watch Lifetime. So
bitches is crazy on there, dog.
It's crazy on Lifetime. So
you always getting raped.
So you're
shit's going down on Lifetime.
It's so crazy. So you're watching Lifetime, right? Think about every show that's up there, every movie that's up there.
Yeah.
Right? All right. So you're there.
Mm-hmm.
Does Lifetime make every one of those movies?
No.
What's the difference? Do the producers and the directors all get paid? They still get paid.
Yeah.
And it just goes on to it's almost like it goes onto their platform. The idea is the same. It's you're still making it, you're still getting it paid, it still goes to you, but where the numbers come from in regards to impressing sponsors is on the website itself, because the website gets all the hits.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that we do this with Downstar and Downstar makes content,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like, well, Nyce1's, I really want to get hits as well in my website. No problem. So we put the link in our website and a link to your website with an image so that it just takes them to your website and it plays. You get hits for your content. Both on your website and on your YouTube channel. So there really is no lose for you. It's just the way that we formulate it. And if you look at it, a lot of guys right now who are doing media, they really don't have a bunch of websites.
Yeah.
We would help them to organize that and kind of get their clickbait going up and just give them an opportunity to make more money. And on top of that, give everybody an opportunity to find all the content you want in one place.
Yeah. Me as like a hustler and an entrepreneur, I see so much potential, and I wish I was just involved more in the community and accepted more in the community that I can pursue those avenues, but it seems very cliquey, and that's why I think that it would be a challenge, and not a challenge for you, but a challenge to be able to broaden others' horizons and take them to that next level.
Right.
Because when you see the younger generation, like TJ Hunt, who's in his very early 20s, went from rebuilding a Subaru to he built his own Ferrari, and it's his car, 1.3 subs, and I'm sure most people in the race community would look at him and laugh.
Right.
Why?
It doesn't matter. That's the point. You think that matters?
There's so
TJ
much.
Hunt?
There's so much money that's being left on the table.
But here's the bottom line to it. At a certain point, your professionalism has to come into play. And I'm not saying other, media outlets' professionalism. I'm saying ours, Nyce1's. Because if I have a conversation with somebody and they select not to do that, that's totally understandable. I mean, I could understand that it's something that you don't want to do, but then if other people are making money, I don't want you to feel as though we purposefully left you out of it. It's an opportunity for anyone, and anyone can opt in or opt out, and it's not anything permanent across the board. It's more just saying, listen, we know from experience how to make more money off content than maybe you do. And we've done it before, and we've done it for years.
Yeah.
And if we want to see the support in total continue to survive and to thrive, we need to start sharing that information with other media outlets so that they could feel valued and they could start making additional dollars and feel like their work is being valued as well. But if they're not doing that, and anybody could listen to this and attempt to do this themselves, but by the time that you're done, I don't know that you're going to put in all the hours that are necessary to make it work flawlessly. You may have a thread put together, but when it doesn't work the first time, you're going to fold on it.
Mm-hmm.
Where we've been testing it for over 6 months. So we've seen it work. It's just not to the point where we feel like it's perfect yet, so we haven't released it. We knew that the media management company would work, and we've released that quietly, and it's been doing well. So it's more about taking these risks and these opportunities to give people another chance to do more in the sport than what they've seen in the past 10 years.
So say there's a racer listening right now. What are some points that you can give them as an action where they can start working on now?
I'll give like one really sharp point. If you're going after a sponsorship, don't write it like a resume. It's not a resume. And if you're going after a sponsorship, don't talk about all the things that you want. Because honestly, them giving you something is not really about what you want. It's about what they want. And if they're not getting what they want out of it, I guarantee you that's the last thing you see. Or if you get a call back at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people think that they can just run a time or they get, 10,000 likes on on one big platform, and they can go after a sponsor and say, now that I've made it, I'd like you to give me everything in your arsenal, and I don't want to have to pay a dime. And then they're surprised when they don't get a call back.
But that is sometimes how it works. So how do you look at it like that when some companies do just fall for that? Oh, this dude, he's popping right now. Let me give him whatever part.
Sure, you could do that. But at the end of the day, when you don't get a return on your investment, how often are you going to lose that money? Because if you're not telling people, again, going back to communication, if you're not telling people what you want in return at the end of it and being transparent about it, then it doesn't make sense. If you don't have the middleman that's flushing that out. For example, if I'm gonna go to PBG and say, PBG, I think Joe would benefit greatly from a gearbox from you, but I'm gonna tell you how it would benefit you to support Joe in this manner. We're gonna put together content when we install it. We're gonna talk about the benefits. We're gonna show the times. We're gonna make sure that other people see it, and then have an opportunity to set up a sale with you at a certain time so that we can try to help you sell more units. And then by the end of that quarter, you should see an increase in profits.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not thinking that way when you're thinking about a sponsorship, don't take a sponsorship, because you have to be thinking that way in order to continue to get sponsorships like the ones that you want and get to that goal of not coming out of your pocket to do what you love.
What about these companies that do that, where they sponsor people because of popularity and they really don't get any return on investment, but they just keep doing it because they think that that's the way for things to run? Do you think that they have any responsibility in this whole thing?
They have responsibility to themselves. So when they fold up the doors because they keep spending money that they're not getting back, that's on them.
But some companies are big enough where they can flow a guy a turbo or something, and for the, I mean, it's opinion based, but for the wrong reason.
Yeah, sure. But are those guys marketing the turbo? Honestly, they're not. They get the turbo and they're like, thanks on Instagram, precision. But then they never talk about it again, and the sales don't go up. And then who really benefits from it? The racer. But how did the company benefit from it? And if the person at Precision has a boss to answer to, how are you going to answer that question when they ask you why you gave away a $2,600 turbo and you made no investment? You're going to risk cardboard boxes for popularity?
Yeah.
You have to really think about the companies that you're getting involved with too. Like, are they companies where there's a really corporate influence, or are they mom and pop shops? Because mom and pop shops can get away with it because they'll just get a tongue lashing at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But corporate entities don't allow that. When money goes out the door and you don't recoup it, you risk your position at that role. And a lot of people don't want to risk their position with their livelihood. So that's the way that I think about it more often than not. And at the same time, I think companies ultimately stop sponsoring the people that don't bring in a return on investment.
Definitely.
Because it's natural. They're losing money doing it. Popularity doesn't replace dollars.
Well, I guess I can tell you from my point of view, being a business owner, and the reason that we quote unquote do not sponsor is because of those situations that we ran into in the past.
There you go.
Where we'll give somebody something. It could have been my fault for having a bad judgment in the person, or that person not fulfilling any promises that they had, or whatever.
Well, not to cut you off,
Mm-hmm.
but that's also a challenge with people who are giving out sponsorships. Like, the racer doesn't know everything that you want to see happen, but yet the sponsor doesn't lay out goals to ensure that the racer hits. Not real ones. Post this, post that, do this, do that. No. Stop talking about the post and start talking about what you want the end goal to be. I want to see more sales by this time. Give me 5 ways you're going to help me do that. Let the racer figure that out, because the racer or the people who support the racer figure that out, because they're the ones that are going to know the audience. And if you know the audience, you know how to trigger them to take action. You know what I mean? That's the work involved in a sponsorship. It's not the sticker that people see going down the track, because I've seen a bunch of stickers today and none of them entice me to go out and buy anything.
I see them whenever I open Instagram.
Yeah,
I'll
great.
see that company
Sticker,
because I already follow
and
them.
It's like, but that doesn't. But you know what does? When I go on a live video and I see somebody talking to me about a part that helped them win, even though there's a bunch of other parts that helped, but they focus on that one part, and you have that conversation with me because the person who helps to represent that race program reminded them to say that on live. That's what helps me think about buying that part. because it was like, hey, this just helped me win. Period. Done.
Yeah.
That communication is powerful. You know what I mean? But people aren't thinking about that because it just seems so given. It just seems like, yeah, everyone should know that. Nah, you need to tell people that in an organic way so that they don't feel like you're a used car salesman.
And a lot of that does feel like a used car salesman.
Yeah.
And it's really off-putting. And it, to me, just makes me see like, all right, you just got this shit for free. And
No, you know what? I'll give you an example of how that doesn't work. And I think a lot of people who put out content are responsible for that, right? So years ago, before I was on Nyce1's, I did a video for AEM. And one of the things that we wanted to do is we wanted to make it very organic. We didn't want it to feel like a used car salesman video. So as opposed to me talking about why someone selected AEM, I think it was Tim Gray, I was asking him about a time where another unit had failed. Just give me an example of that. And then it naturally became this conversation. It was like, yeah, I failed in the middle of a race and it killed me. And the next thing you knew, like, I needed to go and find something I knew was going to be like totally reliable, and I went and grabbed this AEM, and I've been winning championships since. Like, I didn't even talk to him about selling it. It's just the story was a natural progression of why he went there. People have to be able to tell those types of stories in order to get the public to trust them enough to say, you know what, I might give this product a shot. You got to be good at it. You know what I mean? Like, don't half-ass it because people see right through that shit. You got to be good at and you got to believe in the stuff that you're working with. If you don't believe in it, don't accept it. Say, you know what? That's not really for me.
What's funny about that is I see that happen a lot, and these people's their word is still gospel when you see them going from one side to another.
No,
you know, like you're
to me.
Not to me.
Yeah.
When you're supporting a company that I know doesn't deliver what you're saying it delivers, your word stops right there.
Yeah.
So let me take you back to a situation. This was back in the day, and they're not even around no more. You know,
right.
Rest in peace, BWR. Right.
Oh yeah, Black.
So however BWR was, Tanner was always a good guy to me. He was always cool to me, and anything that anybody ever told me, I just put it in the back of my head, and it made me think about if I would ever do business with him on a large scale, or when you do business with somebody and we could do business together and it goes perfect, but if I give you an opportunity to screw me, there's a possibility that you will, because I've already heard that about you.
Right.
But since I never gave him that possibility, it never got to that point, right? So I'm at Fall Nationals. And with those guys, they invited me to go. I went with them, and we're with one of their workers. And workers telling me, it's the best product, everything, gassing me up. And I'm not saying that their products were shit or anything like that, but I'll get to that part of the story, right? So he's totally team BWR.
Okay.
So then after something happens, then it's like, their parts are garbage. And I'm just like, okay, bro, but 3 months ago, you were telling me the completely different story. So
BWR was everything.
What's really good,
Yeah.
And I don't think people understand that, is that maybe to the young kids watching on Facebook or something that's commenting like, oh yeah, fuck them too, Yeah, you're entertaining them, but at the end of the day, to somebody who understands marketing and understands a man's word, like, bro, you were just telling me 3 months ago. What changed in the last 3 months?
Right. I mean, there's a way to do it, but it's just taking ownership of misjudgment, which nobody wants to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you'd probably save yourself a lot more headache and a lot more people looking at you sideways if you just copped to saying, I was off. Yeah, I was off on that one. I shouldn't have taken that one, and that's the reason why you don't take shit you don't believe in.
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to that type of coaching that doesn't happen in racing. It doesn't happen in drag racing. No one's coaching them to have these types of conversations, which is where Nyce Motorsports Management came up. It's just, it made sense for where the sport is progressing to and where it's kind of hit a plateau.
Yeah, and I think that there's definitely higher levels that it can reach.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just look at the drift community. Dude.
I say that all the time. You see so many people in the drift community who are pros, and let's get it correct, because You know, when we talk about All Motor Pro or Sport Front Wheel Drive, these guys are pros in import drag racing. Those are the pros.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at pros in drifting, and they're not working any other job. That's their job.
Trip out on this.
Yeah, they're not beefing on Instagram, throwing mud at each other because they could lose who pays them their bill, and they're like, you know what, I'm not gonna do that. Like, all these things could have so many similarities in the drag racing community, yet nobody takes the opportunity to stand back and be like, you know what, let me not be an asshole right now, and let me not look like a dick online, so that I can have a company that really gets behind me.
A
and
monster.
What I'm doing, yeah.
I have
a Red Bull, a Pepsi.
Think about
Doritos,
it like this.
like all that.
If you look at it from the other way around,
Yeah.
you would have to think that you are below that sport,
Yeah, absolutely.
right?
Yep.
You would have to think that you are below drifting because you don't get the ESPN coverage, you don't get the large sponsorships.
Right.
You're getting our small community
Right.
because we're not allowing it to get to that level.
And that's twofold. You know what I mean? Like, you have to think about it. These companies that, let's talk about a Monster for a second. When Monster's sponsored as many big companies as they can, and they feel like they've gotten the most out of what they can there, do you think it stops there? Or
They're
do you
trickling down.
Yeah, they're looking for new opportunities.
They're taking over the world.
Now you have a new opportunity in drag racing, or a new opportunity in bobsled racing. Whatever it is, they're going to eventually be looking for new opportunities. You just need to begin to make sure that you're in front of them when they're looking, and that you're looking the part.
Okay, so check it out from this perspective, right?
Alright.
I don't know much about Ken Block's past, how long he was even in drifting,
He's a savage.
but Ken Block, a professional drifter,
Yeah.
right? It should be on the same level as a professional race car driver, right? When I went to Tokyo Auto Salon 2 years ago, it took me about 5 minutes to walk from, I don't even know where the beginning of the line was, but to where the end of the line was to meet him, and the line was about 4 people deep. To meet him, a professional drifter. Yeah, he does other things now because of the way that he marketed himself, and he expanded to, you know, Gymkhana or whatever, and
Right.
blew up from there. You know, you team up with all of these companies, Hoonigans or what have you, you have the possibilities are endless.
Yeah. It's just one of those things where, you know, in this community, it just feels like people are more focused on immediate needs. A lot of people play checkers as opposed to chess here. And I feel like that's a major problem when you're talking about, you know, thinking smarter about attracting new business. What if all of the old motor class got on a call together and said, hey guys, you know what, why don't we just like lightly support each other? We do a little smack talk back and forth, but let's look good this year so that we can attract like a Red Bull. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, a Red Bull wants to be at HDAY, or a Red Bull wants to sponsor a car. It would take 1 year to do something like that.
Quick.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Hell yeah.
if they can't get on the same page to agree that they're just gonna, you know what I mean, kind of just be by the book for a year. You know what I mean? Same with Sport Front Wheel Drive or another class you want to mention in drag racing that deals with imports. If you can't get on the same page to at least have that agreement, you'll never know what it's like to attract a sponsor that doesn't want to sell something to the people who are in the stands that's mechanical, right? Because the people in the stands buy more than just parts here. They buy food, they buy drinks, they buy clothing,
Gas.
they buy fuel. There's no way that those sponsors shouldn't be here spending money to get them to buy more with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a layup. They need it. It's here. They would get it here. It makes sense. But because not every class is as, you know, Captain, quote unquote, Captain America as, you know, some of these companies would like it, it falls by the wayside.
I feel you, man, and I could definitely relate to that in the car show community.
Yeah,
I remember
similar,
when I
similar.
first got into it, competition was fierce, and it wasn't like, fuck you, you're a lame, you scam this person. It was, yo, I'm gonna make a better car than you made last show.
Exactly.
And yeah, I won 2 week fests in a row. I won 3 week fests in a that meant something.
Yeah.
But with with the rise of social media, I mean, we always want to blame social media for everything.
Yo,
you know?
social media is the devil, bro.
It's
that shit is the devil.
You know, it's a devil in a red dress, bro. But with the rise of that became popularity without putting in the work.
No, you're right.
So back in the day when that wasn't around, we had to put in that work, and you knew who won the last Week Fest. You knew who won the last Nyce.
You're right.
And because that was established, and those trophies, they meant something. And that's no fault on the event staff. The event staff, they're working with whatever they have.
Right, exactly.
These are the cards you give me. I'm going to try to put together the best event that I can.
Right.
And I hear people, they'll go to events and say, oh, the event was whack. There was all these cars that were stanced out and then plastic dipped or whatever. I'm like, okay, that might be true, but whatever city that shows in, that's the best quality that city could put together.
Right.
For your event.
Right.
You know, it's not like we're turning away a $100,000 bill top to bottom. Like, nah, we'll take that car.
Yeah, nah, not
the one with the rusted hood. Yeah, come through. We'll take you instead. This is the best that you have. This is the best that's available in your city. Yeah. And whose fault is that?
Exactly. That you got to take some ownership to that. It's your city.
Yeah,
you're partially responsible for that shit. No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
So it just takes some people to like I don't know if you know my buddy RC's Garage.
Yeah, I do. I've heard of him.
RC's built so many cover cars, bro, like top to bottom. He's a beast, dude. He comes from the lowrider community. Like that was his passion when he was growing up. So the small details that he focused on were like out of this world to the Honda community.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
So when he's out there building these cars, that's untouchable, and then other people are trying to build to that. But I feel like right now that there's nobody out there. If you tell me the top show cars in the community, and I really don't care whose feelings I hurt, like, step it up. That car's nothing to something from 2010, 2011.
Yo, you know what? I would agree with you in total. However, Joe's car can get on the track, intern heads, and go and win like 10 trophies at any car show on the East Coast.
I gotta take a look at this.
I'm telling you, and Spoon is a monster when it comes to detail. Like when you talk about when you talk about somebody who puts detail into their work, like this kid does not even like remove his eye. He doesn't even speak. Him and Joe could not get on the same page originally on how that car would look at the end. Like Spoon knew what it would look like. Joe couldn't get it until he saw the final product. When you go and take a look at the car, you could park the car at any car show, Week Fest included, and it would win a trophy.
Really?
I swear to God on everything.
I've always said that was a weakness that, or an opportunity, not a weakness, an opportunity that the race community had.
Absolutely.
Look, you guys are building the best fucking cars out. 8 seconds, 7 seconds, 9 seconds. You know, a car show guy would love to have a 11-second car, you know? If they were just to take that much passion that they put into that car to get it to whatever weight, to get it to whatever horsepower, to be able to have the wiring, the computer, the tuning, everything down, if you just took a little more time and focused it on, hey, maybe let's not just fucking throw the wrench,
no, you're right,
and scratch the paint, dude, these cars would be fucking Hercules, bro.
Yo, dude, Spoon has a 95 EG Coupe.
Drop his Instagram so people can check it out.
Spoon 860 is his Instagram. Spoon 860 has a 95 EG Coupe that I swear to God, when you see it, it looks like Honda built it that way. Like there's no seam that doesn't look factory. There's no part of that car that is even remotely crooked. There's no part of it that's unclean or doesn't look like it literally came off the showroom floor. It's like Honda came out and built this car for him and just put it in his garage. And it's the same thing. Like all these cars that come out of his camp have that same ability.
Hell yeah.
Jamie Marsh, the AK-47, Joe's car, his EG Coupe. Like it's not like these things are flukes. The kid does it on a regular freaking basis. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he's got that attention to detail. And it wasn't like that 2 years ago, 3 years ago. It wasn't like that. You were seeing cars that were thrown together and they were getting wrapped. And then Spoon started kind of like this little renaissance of, we're going to make clean fucking race cars.
Fuck yeah.
We're going to make clean race cars, and we're going to take trophies from show cars when we're done.
Yeah.
And he's doing it. You know what I mean? Like, he could literally pull that car up and take a trophy from somebody at Weekfest.
Hey, trophy goes to who's the best.
Oh my God, they would cry.
That trophy goes to who's the best.
God,
That's how I feel, man. And I remember back in the day when I was trying to compete, and that was my goal every time I was building the car.
Yeah.
I wasn't just like, okay, that'll be cool. No, mine was like, I want this to be my best potential that I can put into this build.
Yo,
because if I win this trophy, I want that to represent that work that I put into it.
Yeah.
And then when the brand started getting a lot more popular, the lines started getting blurred, and I started thinking, did I get this trophy because of my car, or did I get this trophy because of the look?
Right.
You know, so it kind of made me want to like step away from it, and I think that there's a lot of opportunity, not in racing, not in show cars, but I think the entire Honda community. I think that we still have the shackles that everybody put us in, the hot rod guys, you know, all those fast muscle cars where they just look at us like jokes.
Damn, you just blame muscle cars for slavery, bro? That's crazy. I've never heard that on a podcast before in my life. That's some new shit. What? You just blame like every muscle car guy for slavery just now.
Is shackles?
Yo,
is that like I don't mean to offend you, dog.
No, I'm totally not offended. I just felt like you.
Shackles.
Like, I felt bad for the muscle car guys. Like, don't use shackles.
Don't feel bad. Nah, fuck that. Don't feel bad. You come back last night when all those muscle cars are out here, and you go talk to them about your car and tell them, oh yeah, I got a Honda Civic.
They said
and
shackles, bro.
You see what the fuck they're gonna tell you. They're gonna laugh at you in your face. Oh, you got a Honda Civic?
Yo, listen.
Honda.
They don't do that at World Cup because I see them get wound up at World Cup. I see them get chased the fuck down at World Cup all the time. I see it happens all the time.
And they have TV shows.
You know, they have TV shows because they're what people see. That's what I'm saying. Like, import drag racing in particular has not done a great job of making sure that people who are not into import drag racing see it.
That's what I'm trying to say. Do you feel like mentally we're still we still have that idea as we're just our own little counterculture and we're not as important as those guys?
No, I don't think that it's not that we're not as important. The reason we go for it, don't get us wrong, we chase down all these avenues and we try to get on TV, we try to get sponsorships, we try to get recognized here, but we're a shit show.
Yeah.
So
do you think that's what it lies on?
I totally believe that it's because people know of import drag racing as a shit show.
Import drag racing, imports in general.
I can't. I think that I think car shows have done a lot to come from just meets in parking lots and burnouts to organized events. So I don't want to put that stigma on.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Because I
don't want to put
that
stigma on show cars because I think that they've really improved their scene quite a bit. I think that, you know, there was a time in import drag racing where we had plenty of TV time.
Got you.
People were looking at us different. And I think that when we stepped off like that platform for a little bit, we went downhill, we went faster, but then we got kind of sensitive and we let a lot of shit talk and Instagram and clout and everything else kind of get in the way. And the people who had hands on the wheel kind of just let off for a little bit.
Imagine having like TV show clout.
No, bro. I don't. No. It's like. Nah,
it can be there.
Nah, we need to get to a point where we come to a level of professionalism before we have any type of TV show.
Every time I see,
yo, do you know how crazy it would be to like, let's just say like Netflix came down right now and was like, hey, we're gonna do a show on the all motor class like today. That shit would be a shit show. You know what I mean? Not because it wouldn't be entertaining. It's just because the drama that I see on social media half the time is just that. And it takes up so much of racing. Where if they decided to do that in drifting, those dudes would really know how to act. You wouldn't have those same types of challenges and you'd be able to get to really making content. And I keep saying that because I feel like it's not that it can't happen. It's just that we need to get to a point of discussing it and then get to a point of making changes so that we can grow the sport.
Yeah, it would be dope to see that, because every time I see imports mentioned on TV or on a large platform, it's usually in a joking way.
Yeah.
It's leaned towards a Fast and Furious joke.
Right.
Or it's something like my EG that I built with Lambo doors and underglow. Like that's what they think about. They don't think about the 7-second all-wheel drive cars. They don't think about that shit.
But you want to know why they don't think about that though? You mentioned like Fast and Furious, right? So how many other movies do they have to compare what the import culture is outside of Fast and Furious movies?
Yeah.
They don't. We've never put anything out that told the true side of it, because you can come to HDAY right now and you'll never see that Fast and Furious look here. It's just not here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But to the people who aren't a part of it, that's the only exposure or experience they have to it, and that's the reason that they feel that way.
So what are you gonna do about that?
Yo, you already know that one of the things that I plan on doing is actually making a feature film.
Yeah.
Through Nyce1's, produced by Nyce1's, and
Fuck yeah,
it's gonna take some time. It's gonna take a writer. It's gonna take some actors. It's gonna take people who really lived it to make sure the story is on point. But I want something that's really true to life about, you know what I mean, drag racing in New York City in the late '90s, early 2000s, and what was happening at that time. Like, you really got to remember, like, drag racing now is pretty. It's not safe on the street. Don't ever let me say that it is, but it was way more dangerous back in the day because people didn't even establish rules. It was way more Wild West than it is right now. Like, people didn't establish like what rules would be what. People were beefing back and forth over money that they bet but wouldn't pay. People were stealing parts a whole lot more. Cops weren't really involved in that. Like, it was violent times.
Yeah.
And that's something that people who weren't in the import community would never know about. They would never know that existed. And if they had known that existed, I think that they would look at import racing a little bit different.
That would be awesome, man. If there was a movie that really represented the culture to the fullest.
We're working on that.
Hell yeah! So
we're working.
Okay,
on
so
that.
you say working on it. How much further from it being an idea are you? Like, are you down the road already?
Yeah,
You're cooking?
We actually have a writer who have sat down with us at a few different events and got to meet some drivers just so that they understand like the concept of what they're writing. We've got some script to paper, and we have an idea what locations we want to get into.
Yeah.
What we need to do is just make sure that the full script is done and ready, and then we need to start going to casting, and then we need to start just booking extras and making sure that we're having people on set that can really talk to the stories because they were there, and make sure that the actors are doing what they need to do to make this really feel organic and real. And then our goal is to make like a 90-minute movie.
Wow,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
Imagine if you put that out and the entire community supported it, how big that can be, and the attention it can get.
We believe it. And the reason we believe it is not because it's us making it. We believe it because we're going to make it that good.
That's dope, man.
Yeah.
You got your hands full, bro.
Yeah, I don't sleep much.
So what do you do besides all this?
Nothing.
Really?
I just do this.
That's it?
That's it. I just win.
I like that, bro.
Yeah,
So
that's it.
you say you were in the music industry in the past. Let's touch on that a little bit.
I did something called Behind the Unsigned. It was like the first piece of content that I ever made, and it went on like Fuse TV for 2 seasons. And it was really like, it's similar to the projects, to be honest with you. It was a time where you meet an independent artist, and they take you where they want to take you for a day, and they tell you about their life, and then you get them performing. You get to meet their family, and then you get to see their aspirations and how they create music, and then you get to see like where they hope they're gonna be and where they see themselves. So we did that with a few different artists. A lot of people may know them in the city. Like, we did Sky Zoo. We have content on Young M.A. We have content on Fetty Wap before he blew. We had Chris Webby, Fred the Godson. We had Loaded Lux. We had Bodega Bams. We had Nitty Scott MC, Gogo Morrow. Like, we did Christian Dior. Like, we did a whole bunch of different artists. And we did it on Fuse for 2 seasons, and then we did BET Sessions, which was more of a a project-based documentary. So it would be an artist brings you into a room and kind of tells you how they created a project, how they came up with the cover art, what some of the lyrics meant, why they got into music in the first place, and then where they saw themselves in like 5 years. So we did that. We got it sponsored by DJ Booth. We had it sponsored by G Unit Records. So This Is 50 actually gave us like their headsets, and they paid for our studio to get painted. They paid for the budget. And we did that like kind of off the reservation for 5 years.
Wow, dude.
It was nuts. It was nuts. And I just needed like a break
crazy,
from it.
bro.
And then I fell into doing the same thing with cars and never left.
You miss it?
Nah. And I'll tell you why. Because I am a fan. I'm a fan of music. I enjoy music. But some of the things that I see that I don't like in racing are things that I saw in music as well. And I love racing. I like music, but I love racing. So I'm willing to go through that for racing, where I'm less willing to go through it for music.
Wow. That's crazy, because I always say that if I had to choose between music and cars, that would be a hard choice.
Yo, bro,
for me,
music
boy.
is crazy. I'm going to tell you a quick story. So when we were filming Behind the Unsigned Season 1, we were filming we did something else called the DocuTape 2, which was on a group of super producers that were coming up in the game. So that was another show that we did for Fuse that we did 2 seasons on. So we did 3 shows total. And when we were on set, we went to a spot in Queens called Slowbucks. And Slowbucks made like, they made T-shirts.
The snail tea.
Yeah, the snail tea. All
Yeah.
right, so you know the snail tea, right? So we were out there. And
I'm hip, bro.
I can tell. I mean, I thought in Cali you wouldn't know what
I'm
the snail
hip,
show
bro.
looked like, but I guess you do. So we were out there and we were shooting, and one of my executive producers at the time knew Lloyd Banks, and Lloyd Banks was coming through. And so Lloyd Banks came in, and my executive producer at the time was talking to him, and he gave the signal to one of my guys to start rolling and recording, but they didn't tell Lloyd Banks that they were rolling and recording. So he was about to start talking about his album, and then when he looks up to talk about his album, he sees the freaking camera on, and he snaps. Like, he just fucking goes off. He's like, yo, I didn't give nobody permission to record me. The cameraman didn't know, because the cameraman got the signal from the executive producer like it would be all right, but the executive producer was just trying to get a natural look and thought that he had clout enough to just say, I can do this, and that obviously wasn't the case. So Lloyd Banks starts like going bananas.
He's on fire?
Yo, he's going ham, bro. Like, he's throwing his hands up, and they never come with like 2 people. He has an entourage of 30 fucking people. 2 Escalades dropped off him and his crew. 2. So we're in this small room, right? And his entourage is outside, and they hear him yelling. If you ever poked at a hornet's nest, you ever hear the buzz get louder? So outside the room, the buzz is fucking getting louder, because they're like, yo, I don't give a fuck. We about to fuck somebody up. And then Lloyd Banks is like, yo, I'm gonna break your camera. And then the cameraman's like, yo, you're not fitting to break my camera. This is my livelihood. He's taking off his jacket. And then all of a sudden, like, the executive producer's trying to calm everybody down. And I'm in the middle of this with my boy Alex, may he rest in peace, thinking like, how are we gonna get out of this? And I'm like, I don't know. We start looking at each other, and we each grab like a mic pole stand, because it's like, yo, if it comes down to it, we're banging. Like, nobody gets left behind. You know what I mean? And I bring that story up because it's like, it never had to get to that. Like, it was so petty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I see that pettiness in racing sometimes, but I love racing enough to go through it. I see that pettiness in music all the time. I don't love it enough to go through that on a regular basis.
Yeah, I don't think that I would want to be involved in the music community. No.
Like, I could tell you stories about like cleaning up French Montana's puke in the studio after he snapped off, or
shit.
I've seen the ugly side of music for so long. Like, the ugly side of music for so long.
Wow.
So,
nah, I think the closest I would want to get is maybe have an artist on the podcast.
Nah, that would be dope. That would be dope. But it's like, when you experience like tour, it's crazy.
I bet, dude.
Yeah,
Because I don't even like waking up early for a car show,
Nah,
bro.
It's crazy. Like, it's just, you become a different person on tour for 7 days.
Wow. So, what do you think that that the future is gonna be for the agency, and by the end of the year, where do you see this being?
For our agency, I feel like you're gonna see a lot more of Alpha K. You're gonna see a lot more of the Alpha K team. I think people are gonna pick up to what Joe and the brand is about, and I think that they're gonna find a place in Moto to really respect that, and that's gonna be our first way of judging that the company is successful. I think the next step to that is going to be figuring out what the race program needs in order to begin to talk to companies about where we feel like we can support them and improve their quarterly sales based on what parts we need and how we can put that together. And then third, I think it's going to be rolling out merch for Joe that's coordinated with his brand, and figuring out a way to make that automated so that it goes out the door, and figuring out a way to make sure that there are booths set up, and then figuring out pricing for him to go out to different events once his buzz gets to a certain place on social media. So we've been kind of making sure that we're tracking his social media along the way. We've been making sure that we've been working on t-shirts designed for him to prep for that. But all those things had to happen after HDAY and after we released the projects for the first episode season 2.
Now, say you have your client and your client has every sponsor that they need to go down the track, to not have to worry about things. At that point, or even before then, or as that's going on, are you going to start looking for brand deals?
Absolutely. I think it's brand deals and brand establishment, because it's not always about being a part of a brand. Sometimes it's about establishing one and making that brand go further and partnering with brands that you would have thought you couldn't have partnered with before. That's a different level of partnership that I feel like would almost elevate a team into a different atmosphere. I could see somebody going from drag racing with that type of clout to drifting and not missing it, a hitch, and having that driver become something more than what the average driver is. But you have to find the right candidate to do something like that.
Yeah. It's what Steph Papadakis did.
I know, but there's not a lot of Steph Papadakis out there.
Yeah. He conquered.
He did a lot.
The community.
He did a lot, and he did a lot without representation too, which speaks to volumes of him understanding the business.
Yeah.
But today, people are going so fast that I really feel like they need to concentrate on and focus on making sure the car gets down the track in one piece, and that they are focused on hitting that number and letting other people do what they need to do in order to elevate them from a brand perspective and a career perspective.
Yeah, it sounds so easy.
It's never easy.
It sounds so easy, man. Say there's a racer listening right now and they would want to be involved in it. Maybe not. Do you have? Is it open right now, or how would that even work?
So you can go to Nyce1motorsportsmanagement.com. Look that up, and then our website will pop up. You'll see a breadth of services that we offer. It's not for everybody. People have to submit for it, and then they have to be accepted. We have to agree that we can do something. I wouldn't want to just take on anybody and then have them pay something that wouldn't fit with, us making them successful. We want to have an opportunity to really make a dent in what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
It's not something that's permanent. It's annual. You figure out how long you want to be with us. We can even do something that's like 6 months, so that you can test it out and figure out if we're a good fit for you or not. And then we put together a strategy, a plan, and then we basically work off that timeline with a plan. A lot of my crew gets involved in just making sure the brand's on point. When we want to release we tell you what's realistic, we tell you what's not, and then we tell you where we expect to see you by the time we're done working together.
That's super exciting, man.
Yeah, man, it's different.
It's creative.
Yeah, it had to be.
It's a very, very creative idea.
Yeah,
and
it's different.
That can transfer over to a lot of different communities, but to be able to lend that knowledge or build that team, you have to have put in your work.
Absolutely. You have to have that history. You have to have stuff to pull from to say, I've been in that situation before. This is how we handled it wrong, or this is how we handled it right. That type of stuff is priceless. But you have to have been in the sport for an extended period of time to be able to kind of tap on that resource.
Yeah. So we both want to see the best for the community.
Absolutely.
Besides sponsorship, what do you think that people can do on a personal level to maybe look at things differently, recognize the way that they represent themselves and the hardships that may come from the way that they represent themselves? What do you think that maybe they should watch out for, or do, not do? And this is coming from you, from your experience, and what you've learned worked and what didn't work?
I think people need to really take a look at themselves and become less sensitive because they're public figures. Number one thing, figure out the fact that you're a public figure and you're going to be abused. And it's not fair, but at the same time, you shouldn't be retaliating or doing anything about it or catching feelings over it or anything like that. You've got to know that that's what came with this role that you wanted. You know what I mean? I think that's number one. Number two is bounce ideas off of people that you truly trust before just taking action on them on social media. You'll find out more often than not that people who care about you will tell you to take the path less traveled, and it'll save you a headache in the long run, and it doesn't damage your brand, and it allows you to become something that's a little more important in the sport and a little more envied in the sport. You know what I mean? Because people look at people who don't get in the middle of nonsense, and they appreciate that because there's so much that's going on. And then last but not least, I would definitely say focus on believing in yourself. If you're not the first one to believe in it, you'll be the last one to even attempt to try and do it. So you need to make sure that you're believing in yourself before anybody else does and telling yourself you're capable.
I think everybody listening, that they have a lot of potential that they're not tapping into.
Yeah.
And me speaking for myself, I was able to tap into that potential when I became more vulnerable, less worried about how people thought of me, what they thought of what I was doing, whether they thought about my bolts are gay or not, like whatever, dude. We're still getting orders like somebody likes it.
Yeah, you gotta have thick skin. I mean, that comes with it, to be honest. Like I try to avoid it, like clout as much as possible, because I just don't feel like it's good for me. I try to get in, I try to do my job, I try to make sure that the content that I'm making makes sense and that it's challenging for me and that it impresses me first, and then if it does that, then hopefully impress someone else. Not everybody likes it, but I think that helps me to get better. I think that skill set also allows me to be creative with racers that Nyce1's is working with through Nyce Motorsports Management, to make sure that they're seeing how they can be creative in representing their brand. Obviously, we're going to cover content for them on their own channels and make sure that they have the ability to really get merch out to the fan base and really build a fan base. And since that's something that we have experience in, of course, that's something that I want to make sure that we're all focused on. And I also feel like it's important to make sure that we're preserving the sport the way we want people to remember it. Mm-hmm. I don't think that we want to leave it in a shit state for the next generation. I think we want to make sure that we're cleaning it up, almost like the environment, but at the same time, we want to make sure that racing stays here. Yeah.
I mean, the situations, they are what they are.
Yeah.
They happened, but you don't have to live in that.
Exactly. You can be done with that. You can switch that up. You can change that.
You can change anything that you want, and no matter how people look at it or whatever they want to believe or bring up, or you can be a different person in the next month.
You can be a different person in 10 minutes if you commit to it.
Yeah, it's an internal thing, and a lot of these insecurities that get displayed on social media as, bravado and I have this, I have that, you don't have this, you don't have that. Like, I mean, maybe to the general enthusiast 16, 17-year-old kid, it's impressive.
Right.
But to maybe somebody that you would consider a peer, or maybe somebody that you would look up to, or somebody that you would aspire to be, that's probably not the way that they're looking at it. So that might be something that to consider.
Right. I mean, and at the same time, let's be clear, you're never going to make everybody happy. I mean, if you take the opposite role, there's going to be someone who follows you that thinks you're being too soft about it.
Yeah.
So as long as you know that you're never going to please anybody and you're okay with that, that's probably the bigger thing to take away from a situation like that.
As long as you're happy with yourself. If you can look at yourself in the eyes right now and say, I'm doing my best, this is exactly where I want to be, I'm 100% satisfied. If you could do that, dude, just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Keep rocking out.
Keep doing what you're doing. You're good.
Keep it
Don't worry about it. But if you go through situations, no matter what happens online, no matter how you come out, there's those times where you're just in your room by yourself.
Yep.
And you're just thinking fuck, man.
I know.
I fucking ruined my damn day. Or, you think about that shit. If you have those times, if you have those times when you look down on yourself.
Right.
I mean, there's room for improvement there,
Right.
and only you would know.
Yeah, of
and when
course.
you start making that improvement, and people aren't feeling it, or they're saying, "Oh, you're changing," or "You're fake," or whatever, those are people that supported the old you, the one that you didn't even support.
Yeah, it's almost like I've come to the realization that just being 100% upfront and honest, and almost like apologizing for some of your bluntness, makes sense to me, at least. I'd rather not anybody guess where I am with them. I'll tell you. If you ask, I'll tell you. I won't bullshit you at all. And I feel better about it because that way I never have to rethink about what I told you.
Yeah.
I told you what I felt. That's all that really mattered to it. How you took it is how you took it. But I feel like I stay in that frame of mind so that I don't get distracted by any of the BS that's happening, whether it's around me, the content that we're making, or an event coming up. I just put all that outside of my mind and I don't get involved.
With all the negativity that seems to be on Front Street, there's a lot of progress that's happened in the last 2 years,
Yeah, I
even
think so.
1 year.
Yep.
And I think everybody that's in the race community should be proud of that and should embrace that change, and should take that and run with it.
Hell yeah.
Start new classes, hit new goals, get bigger sponsors, get
Yep.
bigger coverage. Everybody would want that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody would want everything our whole community to grow, but the whole community isn't going to grow if the community doesn't want to grow.
Yeah, and the community has to be on the same page for it to grow. They have to have a conversation consciously and be on the same page.
But it's just exciting to even be part of it, like to be here as a vendor and just see it going on and see these cars doing these numbers and all the attention that these people put into it. And I'm sure outside right now there's somebody working on a car getting it ready for tomorrow.
Yeah, we're right outside of Fort Pickens, and they are working on multiple cars. There's like 4 of them getting worked on right
Which
now.
is awesome, man, and that takes a lot of dedication. So I know that the heart is
Oh,
there.
no, the heart is there.
The- and
The
that's
heart's not been removed from racing.
the heart's there, and that's something that lacks in a lot of other a lot of communities that may be flourishing in different areas.
Agreed.
So this is not only something that we're talking about the bad of it. I don't want it to be that. I don't want this to be something where we're just talking about the negative, because
Right,
that's
right.
what always seems that gets talked about, is these negative situations. But that's not something that we have to live in. That's
No,
not
we can change it.
something that has to even be accepted. I really think that the whole world could change if you change yourself. Because if you change yourself, you're going to start changing the people that are around you, because they're going to realize that you're not accepting the same nonsense that you used to accept. So they're not going to do the same nonsense, and maybe that can change them.
It's a very factual point.
And who knows where your reach can get. So if you have an issue online and your reach gets you X amount of people on your live, or comments here and there attacking somebody else, imagine where your reach can get you if you used it for good.
No, you're right. But people just don't see it, and people need to look at it with an open mind.
Definitely, man. And that's what I've really been trying to work on, is using my platform to motivate others to be a lot more positive, and to get people to know that, hey, how I did this, it wasn't magic.
Right. It costed something.
This is the blueprint.
Yeah.
This is what I did. So if you want to do it, this is it. I'll give you the help. You want to make a t-shirt brand? I'll give you my supplier.
Yep.
I don't care.
Yep.
Because the more people I send him, whenever I need a rush job, he's going to take care of me, because he knows that I'm sending business to him. It
That's
doesn't
true.
matter. I can give you guys all the tools, but I can't give you the heart. I
No.
can't give you the dedication. And
That's
I
true.
can't give you the possibility to believe in yourself.
If you don't come with that, it's like batteries in a toy. If you don't come with that, then what good is it?
And you can change that too. You like in my my city where I'm from, it's kind of a trap. There's a lot of gang activity, and that goes on for generations and generations. So
Right.
your great grandfather and your grandfather and your dad could have all been in gangs, in and out of jail, and sold drugs or what have you.
They could have shot like 3-4
They could have did whatever the fuck they want to do.
Right. Did they
But
shoot
that-
somebody?
Not none of mine, bro.
No?
No.
You sure?
No.
Did you do ancestry?
No. Hell no,
See.
dude. You know, I'm not gonna do that.
No,
They're gonna
feds-
have. You know
yeah,
why?
The feds keep your DNA.
They're gonna keep my DNA, and
Yep.
you know why?
Yep.
When Elon Musk releases the machine where you can reverse aging, I'm not gonna have my DNA from when I was this age.
They're gonna have it.
They're gonna have it.
They took the whole thing.
They just need. You never seen Jurassic Park?
Yeah. I've seen
They just need a little vial.
Yeah, but
you
you
just
still
nut
have
in that
yours.
thing. You just nut in it. Send it to Ancestry. They tell you that you're
Yo, you don't.
whatever.
Yo, bro, you don't nut in nothing, bro. Like,
Have
yo,
you done it?
Nah.
Okay, so you never done it. It's cool.
No,
Nah, it's
but-
cool.
nah, listen,
You know
bro.
everything, dog. It's cool.
No, I'm just saying, you not putting no nut in a jar.
How do
and
you know?
send it over
How
to
are
a
babies
company.
made?
Listen, bro. We
How
know
are
that.
babies
We
made?
know that. But
Where
yo,
would
bro,
the most DNA be
bro,
at?
Listen, bro. Listen.
I'm sending them nut.
You don't put no nut in a jar and send it to fucking.
Either way,
nah, bro.
spit,
Nah,
nut.
stop. Spit
Nut
and
that you
nut is
spit out.
different.
What?
Yo, bro, it's easy. I just need clarity here. You don't nut in no jar. And
Would you
send
bet
it
your
to-
life on it?
I would.
Okay.
I
All
would.
right. I'll take that.
You don't nut in no jar.
It's just like this big.
To
as
send
the
it over to
chapstick.
Ancestry. No, you don't.
Maybe this is 23andMe.
No. You
One
that
of 'em.
listen.
Okay, so this is a new business idea. Someone's got to save the nut.
Yo, bro.
Someone's gotta save-
Listen, you need to figure out whatever's happening with the nut on your own. But I
What
know
I'm
that
saying-
Ancestry don't take no nut.
But they're gonna have your DNA.
No.
and they're gonna have
yes,
it
they will.
frozen.
They take a piece of hair, bro.
It's not hair.
It is. It's hair. They take a piece of hair.
It's still DNA.
Yeah, but it's not no
They can make a
nut.
T-Rex from a fucking wasp.
Did they make T-Rexes out of they nuts?
I don't know.
No, they didn't. They didn't do that
They
neither.
took it. Okay,
no, they didn't.
They
bro.
took it out
No,
of the
they
mosquito,
didn't. Bro,
right? They
but
took
that
it out of
was
the mosquito
blood,
sac
man.
thing. How
Bro,
can you know if
nah,
that's a
man,
mosquito's
bro.
nut?
Listen, bro. They took it out of the mosquito who bit a person, bro. They didn't jerk the dinosaur off and take a nut to make them. Like, this is getting outrageous. I don't even know how we got here.
That's the best thing about it, dude. Is that
You know
we're
how we
here.
got here?
It's not about the destination.
Yo, Frank said they take the nut in order to make clones. Yo, what is going on?
I don't know, bro.
Yo,
I don't know
all
how it
All
works.
I know about Ancestry is that yes, you're
Don't
right.
do it.
Don't do it because the feds will have your information, and if there are ever clones, you're not gonna have your DNA.
They're gonna sell it back to
They're
you.
gonna sell it back to you
$1 million.
for your DNA.
Oh, you want to be how you were when you were 30? Huh. Okay.
They took-
50-year-old
is
man.
it that they take just the 30, or do they take like 29 and like?
Well, it depends
31?
when you do it. So some people are doing it in their early 20s.
Right.
Imagine when you're 60 and someone says, hey, you want to be how you were when you were 20? Oh, yeah, of course. All right. $50 million. Something, dude. Because 50 million is going to be like 50,000 in 30 years. However inflation works, I don't know, dog. I'm not a scientist.
Yo, I think that shit is crazy.
It's true. People are just giving up their nut like nothing. And
Yo, it's not through no nut, man. Like
you
we
motherfuckers are giving away your nut like nothing to everybody.
Yo,
Oh, you're
bro,
all right.
people take
I'm gonna
hair
use
samples.
code JRE.
Hair
Here's my nut.
samples. Hair samples, bro. Hair
Either way,
samples.
bro.
They're not taking no nut samples. They didn't do it to a dinosaur.
It seems
They
like
didn't
this
do it to no
podcast just went
animals.
off the track.
It did. Because you out here talking about Ancestry taking people nuts. That
good.
didn't happen.
Either way, guys,
Ancestry, I got you.
don't do it.
Don't do Ancestry.
And that goes back to another point. Just think about things before you do them.
Yeah, like don't think about saying on a podcast that Ancestry.
Hey, this is my platform. I can say what the
You
fuck
can,
I want to say.
But it's a bad idea to say
Mayo's
that
fucking
Ancestry
disgusting. If
Takes
you eat mayo,
your DNA via your nut.
but would you ever do it?
What?
The ancestry.com.
No, man,
No.
I'm not doing
I'm not
that.
that interested.
No.
I don't want to get it back, and then I'm like, I don't know.
Yo, I feel like if I got it back, I would find out some really dope shit.
You think so?
Yeah.
What do you think you got in you?
Yo, I'm from a really small island, right? So there's not like a whole lot of us there. Like I'm from Haiti, like I'm Haitian.
Yeah.
So, they spoke French, and there was like a French colony involved in all that, right? But yet my name is very, very German. So, And Germans didn't stay there for very long, so I feel like there's some dope lineage in regards to that. Like, I think I'm like a sliver German or something like that.
Really?
Yeah,
Would that
real
change
shit.
anything in you?
Nah, I'm still be a savage regardless. I don't give a shit.
Really?
Yeah.
German savage.
No, I just think that Germany has some savagery involved, and that's part of it.
Yeah, history would say so.
I would agree.
Shout out to Germany.
Shout out to Germany. And palindromes.
What is that?
Palindrome is something that's spelled forwards and backwards the same way. So Otto, O-T-T-O, O-T-T-O.
That's you.
Race car.
That's you.
Same thing.
Auto race car.
Palindrome.
Infinite.
Infinite.
That's crazy, bro.
I know.
Dude, it was so dope to sit and chat with you.
Yo, it was a good time, man.
I didn't think I was gonna even see you this weekend.
I know. Surprises.
It happened.
Yeah.
So we should make this a once a year.
All right, we'll
kinda
figure it
thing.
out. Yeah, we'll figure it out HDAY next time.
But I'm excited to see where the where everything goes to, man.
Yeah,
the
man.
next HDAY.
Yeah, definitely. We'll catch up on it and see how far
Catch
we
up
got.
over there. I want to see it, man, because I think that if you're able to create a marketing team, and it's successful,
Yeah.
and it's obviously successful, you would have to not be the smartest person not to copy that kind of
Yeah, we would put it right to work.
yeah.
Yeah, we would put it right to work.
Good shit, bro.
Yeah,
I'm happy
man.
for you, dude.
Thank you, man.
You're
I
always on
appreciate
your
that.
hustle, man. Ever
Yo,
since
I
I've
don't
known
quit.
you.
Yeah, I don't quit.
You've
I
been
don't
on
quit.
your grind, bro.
Absolutely.
I love that, dude. So, for everybody listening, where can they find you at? And everybody that you've talked about, man. This is shout out time.
So, shout out to Joe Pinella, Alpha K. You can find him on Instagram at alpha_K_. Check out Spoon860. You can find him on Instagram. Check out official Nyce1's. Check out Offset Zoe on Instagram. Check out what's Ryan's Instagram. It's nowhere near the name Ryan. It's like EBLEM21479, something like that. So I would say check out Ryan on Instagram, but when you check out Alpha K, you will see Ryan. Check out check out official HDAY. Check out Eat Sleep Brace, and check out Frank Downstuff.
Thank you, bro.
Appreciate you, man.
That, man.
Yeah,
Dude,
absolutely.
I'm excited, bro. I'm excited to get the feedback from this.
Nah, it'll be dope, man, because people only hear me go nuts on live. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes
Yeah.
I'm just up on live at like 2 a.m, and there's a good group of people that'll jump on there, and then we just wild out for a little bit and show some previews of some videos. And, you know, we typically have good conversations, so this is the first time we did like an outlet like this, and I think it was dope.
Yeah, definitely, dude. And the podcast has seemed to gain a lot of traction lately.
Solid.
And I think a lot of people are gonna get some gems from this, bro. And
Yeah, there are a
hopefully
couple gems in
some
it, man.
actions that they could take on.
Absolutely.
And it's not only about racing. That can change your whole entire life, the way that you look at life. Because I know that when I started going through my metamorphosis, not only my business changed, but my entire life has changed for the better.
That's dope.
And just my outlook on things and being able to appreciate certain situations that I'm in, like now, being in New Hampshire. You would ask me
know, right?
10 years ago, like, hey, do you ever think you go to New Hampshire? I'm like, yeah, probably not, dude. You know?
But you're out here.
But I'm out here, dude, doing what I love and just having fun, man, with
That's
good
what it
people.
is. That's what it is, bro.
Oh, I appreciate you, dog.
Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you for your time, man.
We'll catch up.
Everybody listening, thank you for your time. Make sure you check the Instagrams below. And if you enjoyed this podcast, just tell a friend, man. That's all we ask. We're trying to make this into something, and I appreciate you guys lending your time to us, because that's the most important thing that you have, and I hope that you understand that.
Definitely.
And this is episode 71. Peace.
Later.